Joining me is National Senator Barnaby Joyce, the former Deputy Prime Minister. Barnaby Joyce, always great to talk to you. Today,
you're welcome.
Australia Day, right? Tennis Australia refusing to market. Victoria's Labor government scrapped the Australia Day parade, cleared the streets for an anti-Australia Day protest. The Prime Minister says if public servants object to the date, they can work today and take off another day. Labor seems to me to be sponsoring a very dangerous hatred of this country and our history, and by extension, well, the whole Western project.
Yeah, they're crab walking us to their new nirvana, aren't they? And we know what they're up to, and this is part of the left agenda. I basically went to the Australia Day ceremony today. It's a reflection, like Anzac Day is a reflection on those who've served Australia in the military. Australia Day for me is a reflection on those who've served our nation in civil society in so many ways, and premise on the basis that Australia, as we see it, was instrumented by the fact that there was a form of colonisation without a shadow of a doubt. And if it wasn't colonised by the British, it would have been the Dutch, or would have been the Belgians, or the French, or the Spanish, or the Portuguese, or the Chinese, or the Japanese. It was going to happen no matter what. And we're very lucky that the way it happened was under a rule of law that treated everybody with equivalence, that slavery wasn't brought about like it was raging in that part of the world in every other basically corner, whether it was serfdom in Russia or slavery in the United States or the Belgians in the Congo, or how the French were dealing with Southeast Asia. And from that seedbed of convicts who are prisoners and people who didn't want to guard them, and other people who didn't want to be here, met by people who probably didn't want them here, I acknowledge that as well, we've created this incredible egalitarian nation with its freedoms, with its justice, with the way that I respect you, the way you walk up to me. I don't judge you by your caste, by your religion, by your family, that your lot is not predetermined by birth. I think that's worth celebrating, and so do most Australians, to be quite frank. And I think most Australians are onto this gig by the left. They understand where they're heading. This is a form of sort of a social recalibration to fit their view, and people won't tolerate it. They're stirring the pot, and people are awake to this, and they're not happy. And I tell you right now, the referendum is going to go down. I said that at the start. I'll say it now. People are incredibly suspicious about this idea that you write a blank cheque and let the Labor Party and the Greens determine how they're going to fill in the numbers.
Gee, I wish I shared your confidence. I mean, I'm starting to, but there's been a great project of educating people into the horrors, so-called, of our history. I'll have a very interesting example of that later. I'll fact check it. But Labor's, this voice to Parliament, this kind of Aboriginal-only Parliament that is advisory, or just for now, really, I mean, I don't actually think it'll be purely advisory for long, do you?
Well, Andrew, why do we need a referendum? We need a referendum to put it in the Constitution. Look, the one thing I can say about people who are designing it, they're not stupid. I mightn't agree with them, but they're not stupid. The reason it's going into the Constitution is so interpretations by the High Court. And where that ends, gosh only knows. And of course, once it's in the Constitution, then we'll have court case after court case, because there's not a piece of legislation that happens in this nation that doesn't involve how it affects every section of the Australian society, including Indigenous Australia. And the first thing that'll happen, of course, is I hope you just enjoyed your last Australia Day, because that one will go immediately. The referendum gets up, because that's executive powers, I'll just go and get rid of it, scrap it. And so this will be incredibly dangerous, because you'll have changed the operating manual of Australia, only you won't have changed it. You'll have just given the authority to the Labor Party and the Greens to change it on your behalf. And if you fall for that sucker punch, God help you.